Welcome, doctors. This is Doug Grant, founder and formulator Optimal Health Systems, and we have an exciting webinar for you this evening as we start the countdown coming up to Brimhall Homecoming in January. And it's really interesting because one of the first times I'd met Dr. Johnson, our speaker tonight, it was in a seminar we were putting on, and it was a different type of meeting that I had, and I really wanted to kind of impress this upon everyone to understand really the type of person you're going to be hearing tonight. I actually didn't know. I talked to Dr. Johnson, but I hadn't seen him before, and he was in the audience, and so I wasn't sure who was who. And it was day went on, I noticed that there was this doctor there, and he was spending more time caring about other people and their experience, and that they were being educated properly and learning everything so they could go back and implement the things that were being taught in their practice. That it really impressed me. And I come to find out it was Dr. Johnson, and just, respect went up even more after that as we got to know him personally. But he's one of those guys that I'm sure he and Dr. John can give you some more of his credentials. But for me, one of those people that really cares about the doctors and their success, not just the patients that we all do as health professionals, but for other health professionals to be successful and to be able to set up their clinic to help their patients get better faster, be able to have their clinics make more so they can support their family and not have to do other things. And I was really, really impressed with that. And so we're excited to have him on tonight to talk about some new technologies. I was able to watch a video earlier that was phenomenal of some great work that he's done with some patients, and I know he'll be sharing that with you. But he'll be one of the main speakers coming up at Homecoming, and Dr. John Brimhall, the great Brimhall Homecoming, is invited him to come speak. And Dr. John, are you on there?
I am, of course.
Why don't you give us a little feedback about the great Homecoming seminar coming up, and also about Dr. Johnson?
You know, it's interesting. Dr. Johnson, I've shared doctors. He was trained in his camp, and I was trained in my camp, and we finally got together. Actually, I think Dr. Harris put us together because Dr. Johnson is a specialist in regeneration medicine and was using biological allografts, increasing people's own stem cells. And he'll show some of that tonight, some of the results he's got. So we got together and started exchanging stories and working with doctors together. So, because what we've always taught is one piece of the pie is not enough for some people. You have to do all 6 things right: structure, nutritional, emotional, etc., detoxification. And he is really specialized in that area. He's a board-certified chiropractic neurologist, and has authored 4 books besides, one on thyroid, fibromyalgia, heart disease, cancer, and other chronic conditions. And some of our doctors, I think it's about 2,000, and he has helped educate and train around the country. He'll tell you about that, how you can sign up for that group. Many of the doctors listen to us every week and then have this sign up for him so they can ask questions on complicated situations. Well, he'll speak for himself. So Dr. Michael, I'm just going to turn it over to you and let you run with it. Hopefully everybody's going to come out and see you here January 17, 18, 19 there in Homecoming. You're going to be demonstrating some of the equipment and some of the things that you do right there. So Dr. Johnson, take it away.
Well, thank you, Dr. John. I really appreciate it. And you are correct. I'd known about you for a long time. I've been in practice since 1983. I graduated from Palmer on March 18th, started practicing on March 21st, and waited for my wife to finish teaching. And then we moved to Appleton, Wisconsin, and we've been here since. And it's just been a great ride. And so 36 plus years in practice. I know it's nowhere near where you're at, Dr. John, but you know, it gets me by. So tonight I want to share this opening with a very important patient of ours. Her name is Gail. Gail drives 3 hours one way to see us. Her and her husband come on a Wednesday. They were here today, stay overnight Wednesday night here in Appleton, and then again they will see us on Thursday morning. They've been doing that the past year. As a matter of fact, before this presentation, we were on speaking a little bit, and I said it's exactly a year ago today, ironically, December 4th, 2018, that Gail's daughter, Janelle, first contacted me and said, can you do anything for MSA? And for those of you who don't know what MSA is, it's multiple system atrophy. It's basically a death sentence. She was told by 2 neurologists at the famed Mayo Clinic, and I use those terms loosely, famed, the mecca of health, that she should just go home and die, get her affairs in order. And so they came to see me out of desperation. And so what I want to share with you first is Gail's video, and just play it for you. It'll be about 2.5 minutes, but you'll see the before and after.
And what we're doing is we're doing our.
Whoops, let me get that, see if I can get it here. There we go.
Hi everyone, we're here with Gail. And what we're doing is we're doing our before and after with Gail. We just did some with her walking with the walker. And now we're going to have your say a list of words. And she hasn't seen these words before. And we're going to have her say them before and after. So just have you read that list as best you can, write down. That's good. So the words that she just read, Alpha, Bravo, Charlie, Delta, Echo, Foxtrot, Golf, Hotel, India, Juliet, Kilo, Lima, and Mike. So we're going to come back and she'll be reading those on the after tomorrow and then again next week. Everyone, we're back with Gail, and the last time you saw her read the words, so we're going to read the words this. So I can hold it there for you.
Alpha, Bravo, Charlie, Delta, Echo, Foxtrot, Golf, Hotel, India, Juliet, Q.
There it is. That was so much better than the last time. If you didn't notice the change, something wrong with your hearing. Gail has multiple system atrophy. You just saw the change before and after. We're still working on her walking. That's going to come. We're using something called Sanexas. We're going to be starting that, but remarkable change. So what would you tell everybody out there watching this? What would you say? It worked. That's right. It worked. That's a beautiful thing. So we're going to be charting our progress even more, but that was wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you.
Very good.
All right, so that was Gail. The rest of this, you're going to see me ranting and raving. You can go to our YouTube channel, Optimal Health Stem Cell, and watch the rest of it. But here's how we help Gail. Number one, stem cell therapy, biological allografts. And we attended Dr. Mark Harris's seminar, and that's where I first saw John in July of 2018. Up until then, we had done adipose-derived. We had done a number of different things with different companies. But it was really Dr. Harris's seminar that opened my eyes. And he was recommending at that time, he had just started with it, injecting stem cells into the brown fat. The brown fat has the highest concentration of mitochondria, as all the doctors know, that the mitochondria are the powerhouses of the cell. So it's patients like Gail that get my juices flowing. It's patients like Gail that get me excited. It's patients like Gail that really, that's why I get up in the morning. Look, it's great to make a professional income. Don't get me wrong. It's great to be a doctor. But the reason I got and became a doctor was to help patients like Gail. And I'm assuming that's the vast majority of doctors out there. So stem cell therapy, even back then, Dr. Mark was talking about, look, you got to stop saying stem cell therapy. It's biological allograft. The FDA is going to come clamping down on it. And we've seen some of that happen. So we're moving more toward the term biological allograft. But in our office, it's more than just stem cell. It has to be more. And that's what Dr. John has been preaching forever. So we do complete blood work, we do complete hormone testing, we do complete genetic testing. And this is really important. What really helped Gail was trigger testing, removing toxins and infections. That's the key. And I can't stress that enough. Now, the blood work, we do complete blood work. And so we do obviously checking blood glucose and hemoglobin A1C, but we're checking kidney function, blood urea, nitrogen, creatinine. We're checking liver enzymes. We're checking the hypochlorhydria. I mean, just about everybody that walks into my office is hypochlorhydric, low HCl. They're not digesting their food. And one of the biggest things that we've done, and what we did with Gail, and I want to stress this, is we put her on Doug Grant's Optimal Health Systems supplements. And honestly, that digestion product, I don't know if it's their #1 seller, but dang, it should be, because I put everybody on that stuff. And, they take 1 or 2 per meal, and it just flat out works. So we also check red blood cells, white blood cells. We look at the lipid panel. We look at the complete thyroid panel. We check for inflammation. And OHS has some great anti-inflammatory products. So we're looking at homocysteine, C-reactive protein, ferritin, fibrinogen, uric acid. So you have to really look at the complete picture. And that's why we literally, if you go to our website, ohstemcell.info, that's our stem cell website, ohstemcell.info. And I didn't name my clinic after Doug. I named my clinic before I even knew Doug, but it's ironic that we're the Optimal Health Stem Cell and Wellness Institute, and they're Optimal Health Systems. But ohstemcell.info, click on the testimonials, you'll see a wall of testimonials. But if you click on the conditions, what you're going to see is what I'm preaching and teaching you tonight, that it's more than just stem cell therapy. It's complete blood work, complete hormone testing, it's genetic testing, and it's trigger testing. So that's the blood work we do, and we base the supplement recommendations that we use, and OHS is our primary go-to company. Why? Because quite simply, it's pre-digested. I mean, you got to get to one of their seminars. You got to get to one of Dr. Harris's genetic seminars. You've got to get to Dr. Harris's stem cell seminar, biological allograft stem cell seminar, and then you got to get to homecoming. I mean, it's really opened my eyes, and when I talk to other doctors about brown fat injections, they're just clueless, and it's unfortunate. So hormones, this is a big one. And this was really big with Gail. So cholesterol, your body takes cholesterol and it makes pregnenolone. The problem is nobody's out there checking pregnenolone. If you start checking pregnenolone, which is a $40 blood test, and you look at it, normally you want it about 150 to 200. Most people, their pregnenolone is so low that it's crazy. And pregnenolone is so important. It's the fat that makes up your brain. It's what makes up the myelin sheath. It's protective to your internal organs. It's really what drives it's the master hormone. So your body takes cholesterol, and think of all the people who are on statins and they're driving their cholesterol to like 120, 130, 140. Think of the people like myself with the MTHFR genetic defect who have genetically low cholesterol. Our pregnenolone is in the toilet. So pregnenolone makes DHEA and it makes progesterone. DHEA, as all of you know, goes down and makes testosterone and the estrogens, E1, 2, and 3. It also makes progesterone, which goes down to make cortisol. Well, there's something called a pregnenolone steal, where when people get totally stressed, and who isn't stressed today, everything drives down the cortisol. So this is why you see people with females on hormone replacement therapy because they have low estrogen, and males who are on hormone replacement therapy because they have low testosterone. Everybody's pushing it from the bottom up. And you really need to look at top down, because pregnenolone makes DHEA, and DHEA makes testosterone and estrogens. So this was a big one with Gail. Coming back to a lot of our chronic patients, they don't have any pregnenolone. So we put them on a pregnenolone supplement, and that's really important. And then we'll go and do a Dutch test. I don't know if you're familiar with the Dutch test, but it's a dry urine test. DutchTest.com, I think, is the website. Go do it, check it. It's really a great test. So genetic testing. Again, Dr. Mark Harris via Dr. Brimhall, and Dr. Brimhall can tell you the story how Dr. Harris would sit in his seminars and he'd just come up with stuff. And for those of you who don't know Dr. Harris, he was like an MD and 3 PhDs by the time he was 12. I mean, the guy's just beyond brilliant, but not only is he brilliant, but he also has a personality. I mean, I've met a lot of brilliant people who have the personality of a brick, and that's not Dr. Harris by any stretch. And the guy's just great. And he'll tell you, when I first met him, I was sending him like 2 or 3 emails every day. I'm sure he just got sick of me, but and he answered every one of them. So I went to his stem cell seminar originally, as I mentioned, in July 2018. And then I also went to his genetic seminar. Now, I was doing genetic testing before I went to his seminar. Dr. Harris does a little different take. He uses muscle testing. So that, I've always done muscle testing myself. But in genetic testing, I always like the 23andMe. Patients, we plug it into livewello.com. Patients like to see that printout. So same thing with the blood work. Patient loves testing. They're used to tests. So we give them a nice printout with the blood work. It's all colored and coded and everything. And we do the same with the genetic testing. But I still do the muscle testing to confirm it. What we're using right now, because 23andMe, really, they sold out to GlaxoSmithKline, a big pharma drug company, and they cut the number of tests that they've done. They used to do 13 GAD tests. GAD, for those of you who don't know, if you're not converting glutamate, which is excitatory, to GABA, which is inhibitory, there's probably a GAD gene, SNP. They would check 13 GAD genes, and now they're checking 2. So what I do is I use Ancestry.com, and what we do is we have a way of going in and scrubbing the healthcare data off of Ancestry. I don't care where people came from, but I do want the healthcare data, and it works for us. So that's how I combine the genetic testing, the printout, the spit test, so to speak, the saliva test, and then the muscle testing. But you need to be checking these genetic SNPs, because as I mentioned, if the patient has insomnia, that could be a GAD, genetic defect, too much excitatory glutamate, not enough inhibitory GABA. They may have an MAOA or MAOB genetic SNP, where they have a loss or inability to make serotonin or dopamine. Very important. We just talked about hormones. CMOT has to do with estrogen metabolism. It also has to do with brain chemistry metabolism. The VDR genetic defect. So you're not absorbing vitamin D. So this is where OHS comes in with, they used to call it EFV. Now they call it something else. I want to say DAKK or something like that. But it's the best product.
DAKK.
What is it?
It's DAK, D-A-K-K, because it stands for vitamin D, vitamin A, K1, and K2.
Right. This is a great product. And let me tell you something. That product, along with pregnenolone, is what's going to help remyelinate patients like myself with MS. Because what I haven't told you yet is that I was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis in 2009. And I was slowly going downhill until I had stem cell therapy. So I wasn't able to stand or walk for longer than 10 or 15 minutes, but after stem cell therapy, I could walk 18 holes of golf. That's why I got into stem cell. Like I said earlier, it didn't help me with my peripheral neuropathy. That's what we're going to talk about in a couple minutes. But I'm always looking to what's going to help me first. And that product, the DAC product, I still call EFV. And Doug, my staff will yell at me because I keep putting EFV and they know what it is, the new. And so, I have it, but I take that every single day. So, 2 supplements that I'm religious on, actually 4. Okay, I'll tell you this. Digestion, number 1, that DAKK, number 2, and then one we haven't talked about, or 2 we haven't talked about, the one Opti Metals and the Opti Enviro. And I take Opti Metals to remove heavy metals. It's a homeopathic from OHS every morning. And I take the Opti Enviro every night before I go to bed. And I recommend it to all of our patients because you're always coming in contact with some type of toxins. And we're going to get into that next. But let's just finish up on the genetic testing. MTHFR, I'm C677T, meaning I'm homozygous for MTHFR. I've lost 70% of my ability to methylate. I have the MTRR gene. That has to do with vitamin B12. I have the DAO gene, which is a problem with histamine production. So I'm living it, is what I'm saying. So I use a lot of these things to help myself first, and then if it works, I move it on and it helps our patients. So let's talk about the trigger testing. What we do is muscle testing for toxins and infections. And as I mentioned, 2 of the best products that I've seen out there are from OHS, the Opti Metals and the Opti Enviro. And I do both of those. In addition to that, we have a specific protocol, a muscle testing protocol, where we use some vials. And I'm not allowed to use vials in the state of Wisconsin, but you can do it without the vials. And you're checking for inflammation, C-reactive protein. You're checking if they have histamine or not. And if they don't have histamine, do they have nitric oxide? And coming to that, OHS has an excellent product, and it's right here on my desk. I take it every day, Opti BFF. So I take that during the day, and they taste like sweet tarts. And at night, and my wife takes it too, and my family takes all of these. Opti Nitric is another one that I take. So do they have nitric oxide or not? And if they do, it's probably a viral infection. If they don't, it could be a bacterial infection, could be a parasitic infection, or a fungal infection. So we muscle test for that. Now, coming back up to histamine, that's if they have histamine. It's some type of organic infection, a virus, a parasite, a bacteria, a fungus. If they don't have histamine, there could be a chemical or a problem with radiation. And especially with 5G, if you don't think 5G is adversely affecting your patients, you're wrong. So you need to address that, and that's important. So we look at triggers, and it's really important to address these triggers. And honestly, what you saw with Gail in that video, and if you didn't see her change in her speech, you're blind and you can't hear, it was because of the triggers. We cleared a lot of triggers out of Gail, a lot of infections, and a lot of toxins. So heavy duty. So trigger testing is really important. So let's talk about stem cells a little bit. We still do stem cell therapy. The name of our clinic is Optimal Health Stem Cell and Wellness Institute. So the problem is the FDA has been clamping down. As I mentioned earlier, Google has stopped advertising. I mean, we were heavy duty advertisers on YouTube. This past summer, I had a YouTube channel with 54,000 subscribers and YouTube shut it down. They didn't tell me why. I know why. Because I was just banging the drum for stem cell therapy. biological allografts. I mean, Dr. Mark Harris was correct. You don't be banging the drum for stem cells. Call it biological allografts. And then the media, you know, here in Northeastern Wisconsin where I practice, all these negative articles, all these medical doctors talking about how stem cells are unproven. Never mind that there's 320,000 research articles on PubMed.gov. But yeah, you know, so I got tired of swimming upstream. And I did find something that, along with my MS, I mentioned I had peripheral neuropathy. And I've tried a lot of things with peripheral neuropathy to help myself, but nothing's worked until I came across this. It's called Sanexas. It's an electrical unit, but it's high and low frequency, and it's frequency modulated. So it's the only thing that I've found that's helped my peripheral neuropathy. So I had pain and numbness from the bottom of my knee to the tip of my toes. And now it's just in the very tip of my toes. So that's why I really jumped on board with this. And we have a website. It's Optimal Health Sanexas. That's our patient website. It just talks about how it works at the cellular level, varies wavelengths, and like I said, includes low, middle, and high frequencies. And it's worked.
Hey,
And
Dr.
honestly, go ahead.
Dr. Brimhall, mouthing off here a minute. I want people to know that you're going to be demonstrating this at homecoming, as well as answering people's questions, complicated
Yes.
and things like
Yes,
that.
sir.
We're not going to let him sleep. So for 3
Right.
days, he's yours.
Yes,
You didn't know that yet,
I'm available to help and answer questions and do whatever it takes.
but we have him going to bring this unit. He's going to demonstrate, treat people.
Yes,
that are there. We're
that
excited
is.
to do that. So
Actually, we're going to see if we can take a couple units out there. Because
All right.
honestly, I'll be honest with you, Dr. John, I was not sold. I like, what do I need another machine for? I had 4 Hockameds. I had 7 PEMF units. I had 3 MLS lasers. They seriously, this August, they had all just come off a 5-year lease. So my wife is ecstatic. She's not paying those bills. When I went to the seminar in St. Louis to check out Sanexas, she said, "You're not going to buy any more equipment, are you?" I said, "No, never. I'm just going to look." But I got on the machine, and I could immediately tell a difference after 1 treatment. After 2 treatments, it was a significant difference. So what was the difference there? The first time I got on the Sanexas unit, I did not have a vitamin blend injection. There's a vitamin blend injection that you have your nurse practitioner or LPN or MA inject. And ideally, yes, you want to be integrated. You want to have a nurse practitioner, but you don't need one to use Sanexas. So I felt the change, and that's what I tell other doctors. You really need to feel it. You really need to experience it to really see what it does for you and the patient, because it's one of the best things. It's the only thing that I found to help my peripheral neuropathy, and it really helps with chronic pain. So you have those patients that, you know, maybe, and we have them, we did a stem cell injection into their knee or a prolozone injection into their knee. They're a little better, but not great. You can put them on the Sanexas, and it bumps it up for them. And to the point, and with that being said, is every week we are, you know, if you go to my website, my stem cell website, ohstemcell.info, you'll see a wall of testimonials. But now we're creating a wall of testimonials at Optimal Health Sanexas. And social proof is so vital. So this is what I really want to implore on all the doctors listening to this. Use your cell phone. I make all my videos off my cell phone. I don't use any special microphone. I do use some lighting that I just got off of Amazon. It's this circle light. I think if you just search circle light on Amazon, it was like $100. You stick your phone on it and you just start talking. And with patients, all I do is I program my staff, because with Sanexas, this is a staff-driven office. So my staff knows the minute the patient says, "Hey, I'm doing better," they'll ask the patient, "Will you help us help others by doing a patient video?" 99% of the time, the patient will say yes. The 1% who don't like getting on video, that's okay. See if they'll write something up for you. But there's nothing stronger. I mean, I have one patient I want to share. I should have put this video up too. Annie, she's an MS patient. We put her on Sanexas one time, and her foot drop was like 50% better. And nothing's helped her foot drop. And she started crying on the video. And I can't tell you how powerful that is. So I implore all the doctors out there to just whip out your cell phones. And this is how I ask patients, will you help us help others? 99% of the time, people want to help others. And you will by doing a video. And if they don't do it that day, they might do it down the road. So just keep that in mind. So what we're doing in our office now is a combination. It's a combination of biological allograft. I'm switching to that term. We're removing stem cell out of our name. I used to have on the window outside our office a big yellow sign with black print that said stem cell therapy and our website. I switched that over. It's more like our logo. But we're going to take stem cell out of our name. We're moving to biological allograft. And we're using a combination of biological allograft therapy and Sanexas. And the goal, what gets my juices flowing, the reason that I get up in the morning is what I showed you when we first started this webinar. It's patients like Gail. It's patients like Elaine. Elaine came to us. Her husband, Joe, called me and he said, I'd like to come up. I want to do stem cell therapy. My wife has severe COPD, but I don't know if she's going to make the trip. We're driving from Cleveland, Ohio to Appleton. It's a 9-hour drive. He goes, I don't think she'll make it. If she doesn't make it, do I get my money back? And naturally, I said, of course. I mean, and honestly, folks, we've had patients where we had one gentleman with COPD. He literally paid on a Thursday in February 2 years ago. And that Saturday, he passed away of pneumonia. So obviously, we refunded his money in full. So Joe brings up Elaine, and she's on our website. She's on our testimonials. And she brings her in, and she's just ashened. She looks like death warmed over. She really does. And this was, this is late 2017, 2018, I'm sorry, because it was after we saw Mark. Well, late 2017. Anyway, it was after we saw Mark Harris. So I can picture her coming in. We did the first round, and it was like the next day she got better, and it was the injection into the brown fat. And she was so fragile, we didn't start off utilizing any supplements with her. We just used some homeopathic drops. And it wasn't until after her second round of stem cell therapy that we started using supplements. And today she's walking around, she's going up and down stairs, she's doing things she couldn't do ever. And again, it's patients like Elaine, it's patients like Gail. It's like a bunch of our patients. That's what gets me going. That's what the juices are flowing. So my goal is not to retire after 36 years like a lot of my friends. I have friends who are radiologists, and all they ever talk about is when they're going to retire. But my goal is just to keep growing and keep expanding and keep moving forward and getting up on a soapbox, which YouTube, now we're back with our Optimal Health Stem Cell and Wellness Institute channel. And we've gone from 54,000 subscribers to like 1,600. But, it's still spreading the word. And the word is that, look, there is an alternative. And I'm proud to be called an alternative practitioner because we're an alternative to drugs and surgery. And that's not health. And we all know that. And Dr. Brimhall has been preaching that for years. I've been preaching it, and it's a win for everybody, and I love that. So as Dr. Brimhall mentioned, yeah, I started consulting with chiropractors in 2006. I'll tell you how it all happened. I'm very transparent. I was at one point from 1994 to about 2004 in an integrated practice, MD, DC, PT. So I had a medical doctor I worked with. We were doing physical therapy. I was doing chiropractic. And I had a business manager who was a personal friend of mine and a good friend. And we had a handshake agreement, and we were going to open up all these clinics. So we opened up 3 clinics in 2 years, and things were going very well. And we were collecting like $1 million in each clinic, but we never had any money, and I couldn't figure it out. And my business manager and best friend would keep saying, well, you know, it's just the startup costs, and eventually things will come our way. And I had made the unfortunate mistake, because we have 5 kids, and our youngest child, who was born in 2002, you know, we had 4, and then we had an extra. But at that time we had 4 kids, so I turned over the financial end of it to my business manager. That was a huge mistake. What he did was embezzle $1 million from me. So I fought off bankruptcy for a number of years. We closed our Green Bay office, closed our Manitowoc office, just had Appleton. But in 2006, on Valentine's Day, I had to declare bankruptcy. And it was a very down time. But it wasn't because of anything I did. So our Appleton office was still successful, and it continued to grow. And within 6 months, I was back where I was before financially. I mean, we were just knocking it out of the park. And I was at that time a chiropractic neurologist. I still am. I went through the CARE program. And I was doing chiropractic neurology, straight chiropractic neurology, and I was the only one that had any sense to make any success with it. Quite frankly, to make any money. There were a lot of chiropractic neurologists that were going under. They weren't making it. So a half dozen of them came to me and said, hey, would you consult us and tell us what you did? And I just said, look, man, I just declared bankruptcy in February. This is April. Are you guys sure you want to get hooked up with me? And I did, and then I spoke at a seminar, and then it's just grown from there. So we do have a message board. It's at txfibro.com. And it turns out, as it all works out in the end, it was a good thing I went through that bankruptcy, because I've helped navigate other doctors through bankruptcy successfully. And so, you know, you're not going to lose your house. You're not going to lose your car. Here's what you pay. Here's what you don't pay. I wouldn't have known that had I not gone through it. So in closing, we're coming up on the 40-minute mark. Why you need to be at the Brimhall homecoming. Let's talk about this. Well, number 1, you're going to see Dr. John Brimhall. And number 2, you'll see Doug Grant. And number 3, you'll see Dr. Mark Harris. Now that's reason enough to go. And I'll be around. A bunch of my friends will be there. And we're looking to have a great time and learn a lot of information. As I mentioned, and Dr. Brimhall mentioned, I will be utilizing and having the Sanexas machine there to demonstrate. Hopefully I'll have 2 machines. And yeah, I can't say enough good things. Plus, I'm in Wisconsin. This past weekend, we were up at our home in Bayfield on Lake Superior. We literally got 4 feet of snow. I have pictures to prove it on my Facebook page. And if there's, who doesn't want to go to Arizona in January if you live anywhere but, you know, the southern states, Arizona and California? So that's motivation enough to go. So Doug, Dr. John, thanks for having me on. Coming up on the 40-minute mark, and I know I said I wouldn't go past 45, so let's just cut it here and open it up.
Yeah, well, we appreciate your time, Dr. Johnson. It's amazing. I learned some things tonight, and we are excited to have you at the Brimhall homecoming. And, we have the opportunity to travel all around the world and do different seminars. The seminar Dr. Johnson went to with Dr. Harris with the genetic testing, the stem cell testing that Dr. Brimhall joins with Dr. Harris at. This year, coming year, we're going to be going on the road. Dr. Brimhall, for the first time in a long time, is going to teach us 6 steps out on the road,
Nice.
going out there. It's going to be awesome. We really recommend everyone coming to that. I'll be doing a separate seminar on the road also that we're putting together along with the blood work. So we have a lot going on, but there's only one place that we all come together, that Dr. Johnson's going to be there, Harris, as I mentioned, Brimhall, myself, and others. And even though you come out of there with a ton of education and you decided, I want to use this tool, I want this therapy, these are the techniques I want to start using with my patients. It's more than that. It's a feeling and a collaboration of being around people that are like-minded, and that energy and that spirit, really, you can't duplicate that. So we'd love to have you there, love to see you. As Dr. Brimhall mentioned, we don't sleep. We're there, and we're around and available to everyone the whole time, so that we're sure that we've given our all, that you're able to get what you need to take back in your practice and practice, the next moment.
In fact, I just threw Doug out today for sleeping 2 hours a day, wasting his time. More opti-adrenal, opti-magnestem, and whatever else is going on in there. But it's so exciting too. Like Doug says, it's easy for us to get excited because we have Dr. Cook that's coming showing what he does in Zyto and in his emotional work too. We have people that not only make $1 million a year, to show you how to keep that $1 million. Dr. Harper, Dr. Johnson, and Dr. Harris, not to mention my son, Dr. Brett, are all in integrated practices. And Dr. Brett has run well, he's never really been in one doctor office because he joined me when there was 20 of us, but he's done about every aspect, whether it's a single doctor office to teach, and he'll be teaching with us there as well. We're going to be doing hands-on training with Dr. Brett and I both advanced and basic hands-on adjuster, percussor, laser, all those type of things. And we have Dr. Smaldone, who's one of the world's best adjusters and tapers I've ever even seen or heard about. Doug is going to be carrying on about some of the new formulations we've done. We have one coming out on OptiPara from there. And so anything, we're constantly developing things. And Dr. Harris reads in 3 languages. He reads German, he reads Russian, he reads English. I barely get by with English. And he never forgets anything since he's 3 years old. I can forget anything I want. But having us together is pretty good because I have to remember everything by looking at what I wrote down. And he always remembers it anyway. But we're going to be doing workshops. We're going to have Dr. Johnson with us, along with Dr. Harper and Dr. Brett, myself, Dr. Harris, and Doug. We're going to be doing a workshop where we have questions and answers Sunday morning. I mean, it just never stops for 3 days. So don't plan on getting a lot of sleep, but plan on learning more than you can comprehend. Bring your staff too, because we have sometimes 2 and 3 lectures going on at a time in practical application. In fact, Saturday, Dr. Brett's on, I'm on, and Dr. Harris and Dr. Harper on at the same time. So I want to be all 3 places, don't know how to do that. 16, 17, 18, 19. You say, that's 4 days. You talked about 3. Well, Thursday afternoon, the 16th, we start treating at 6 o'clock in the evening. We go to 8 o'clock. You need to call and pre-register that. I'm sure that Dr. Johnson will be there with his machines running already, answering your questions as well. And all of us rest of us are going to be actually physically treating, including Dr. Smaldone, Dr. Brett, myself, Dr. Harris. So you need to get that scheduled in. I guess we better quit before we get fired, but we just hate to. It's just so much to do, so much to tell you, so much to share. And as Doug said, I'm going to be actually on the road teaching 6 steps to wellness for the first time in about 5 years. So I guess we're going to say good night. God bless you all. I'm sure, hey, Doug, you have any specials for us after tonight's webinar? Nutrition special?
I'll tell you what, I really like the fact that Dr. Johnson was mentioning the importance of digestion, and it is our #1 selling formula and has been for over 25 years. And, when even me and Dr. Brimhall were together years ago, and then we both went and practiced in our specific areas, me more in the sports field and Dr. Brimhall with chiropractic and the patients, we both were promoting the enzymes and probiotics, digestion is just the main thing. You know, they get more from your food, break down your food, let the food start to heal the body, and it can't do that if it doesn't get broken down. And so it was really exciting for me to hear Dr. Johnson mention that that's important to him also. And it just really means a lot to us. We usually don't put that product on special because it is the top formula, but take advantage of it. We really appreciate people that just organically find out and understand that that is really the key, and then everything else will work better. So we appreciate everyone tonight. Please come join us. Thanks, Dr. Johnson. We learned a lot. We love listening to you, and we look forward to seeing you at homecoming and everyone else. Have a great night.
Good night,
Thank
all.
you.
Thanks, Dr. Johnson.